going on, fight fans? Once again, this is a Sweet Science 365, and I am your host, Jeff Bolts. I don't know if I'm going to call this an episode yet, or just kind of me talking about something that I really, I related to in a past couple of videos about the boxing reform petition that Teddy Atlas has going, and I think it really kind of hit home after the Taylor and Lopez fight. And then you got a 25-year-old at the peak in his career, threatening to quit the sport now, and basically retiring, basically saying, look, I'm going to step away. And he mentioned, he doesn't just, it's easy to go, if he wanted to make a fight with Tank, he could do it. If he wanted to make a fight with Ryan and all these other guys, he could do that, and had the confidence that he could beat those guys. But he's not just fighting those guys. He's fighting the refs. He's fighting the judges. And, that's hard, man. And for years, we've seen it in the sport to where you're just not fighting the guy across from you. You're also fighting the judges who you don't know what their agenda is, what their background is, anything about these guys. You're in the ring with a ref that keeps, stopping the fight or involving himself in the fight, getting too involved in the fight, making bad choices. So you're not just fighting one guy, you're fighting two or three guys, and on top of that, now you're fighting your promoters, basically. You've always fought your promoters. But now, with this Lopez-Taylor fight, it seems to me Top Rank had an agenda for Taylor to win. They probably wanted him to win. Them and Lopez being on the in and outs with each other. So, to me, it's just my personal opinion, Top Rank had another agenda, and they did not want Lopez to win that fight. You had two judges score that fight, 113, 115, 113, 115. Man, that was a 117, 111 fight all day. One judge got it right. Basically, the 12th round of dominance by Lopez secured that fight for him. Even though he dominated the entire fight, people are saying that you could probably get Taylor a few rounds. I think you maybe only get Taylor one round, two at the best, in my opinion, because he came out and established, like he looked good in the first round, bounced around in the second, but he didn't really do enough in the second for me to say he could even take that round. That could have been a draw in that round, but every round from 3 to 4, Lopez just stepped in. You heard his dad in the corner, I can't remember the round 4, maybe 5, where his dad says, figure it out, and he said, I got him. So he knew that he had figured something out about Taylor. And he just went out there and put an absolute clinic on a former unified champion and a guy like Taylor. And you had two judges scored 115, 113, 115, 113. It makes zero sense whatsoever that would even be that close on their scorecards. I don't know what they saw that we didn't see. I wasn't ringside, and I had a view of what I saw, and that fight wasn't even close. And Taylor, I would guarantee Taylor himself would tell you that fight won the 115, 113 fight. And he even talked about getting weak in the knees after his legs kind of went out after the 4th and 5th round. But, this is what Teddy Atlas has been preaching for over a month now. We watched fight after fight in May, just overshadowed by bad judging, just bad decision, bad reffing, and then June is pretty much starting the same way. The same way May ended and started, June's going to start out the same way. You're going to take a mega blockbuster fight like this, Lopez and Taylor, and it's going to pretty much be overshadowed by the fact that Lopez is going to step away from the sport because he knows that they try to rob him. He knows that, and nobody wants to be involved in that. Boxing is in what I like to call the barbarian stage of sports, where it hasn't evolved from the time it's begun to this point right now. It hasn't evolved outside of safety procedures have gotten better. Stopping fights have gotten better. Guys aren't fighting 15, 16 round fights. Okay, yeah, that's gotten better, but the sport hasn't evolved at all enough to even take it to the next level or take it into with all the other sports. Because think about it, man, football's just as dangerous. Soccer, hockey, cycling, all these other sports are just as dangerous as, boxing is. But they do things in a professional manner, and they have, if there's bad judging, if there's bad refereeing, there's consequences for what those guys do, and these guys are trained. The judges in any other sport, the refs, the umpires, judges, whatever you want to call them, the people overlooking and making the decisions in those sports, they're very professional. They go through courses and classes, and they've had to work up ranks to get to where they are a professional level. Boxing doesn't do that. Boxing literally, a guy goes and asks his nephew if he wants to go judge a fight, or his uncle, or a favor for a friend. You're going to go judge a fight. We don't know anything about these judges, where half of them come from. Yeah, there's been some that's been in the sport for a while, like Dave Moretti, but we watch him make bad choices too. And is it his age, or is it just, once again, boxing, corruption, people being paid to make sure a fight goes a certain way because a promoting company has more stock in that fighter, or has a reason for it to go that way. And that's what we continue to see in boxing year in and year out, man. And boxing right now, in my opinion, could be up there with any other sport, with the talent that is in the sport, from the 115 division all the way to the 154 division. The talent that's in there, and you can include 168. There's some good guys at 175, but the talent overflows, and the 115 to the 147 really is the talent. Just it's tons of talent. There's tons of talent in 154, but more than I think the sport has ever had. And the 80s was probably the peak of the sport, and the talent level was unbelievable there. But you had the four kings there. Now I think you've got more than that, man. You've got an overabundance of talent in the sport. The talent level in boxing is going along with the rest of the world. These guys are more athletic. They're faster. They're stronger. They've got easier ways to work out, better workout routines than what they had in the past. But the sport isn't moving with the fighters. It isn't moving with the times. It's staying back because you have so many corrupt people in the sport that have so much oversee and so much power in the sport that it doesn't allow it to ever get to that next level, because groups like the NFL, I guess that's what's weird too, is that when you look at boxing, you have promoters, but you don't have like a league. Think about it. You don't have a league in boxing. The NFL is football, but it's a league, right? MMA is a league, or not MMA, but UFC is a brand in a league. Those guys, those are companies. Those are leagues. You don't have that in boxing. You have promoters, and you have different sets of promoters, and anybody can pretty much be a promoter if you've got the time, the money, and the fighter. Yeah, you can get into promoting in boxing. There's no overseeing committee to oversee what happens in boxing. There's nobody to oversee how the judges are chosen, who the judges are, and there's nobody to hold the refs, judges, or anybody accountable in the sport of boxing. And I think that's the biggest fault in boxing, man. You can't have a sport where it's the wild, wild west, and I've said that plenty of times, man. That's like my saying for boxing. It's the wild, wild west. I love it, but there's absolutely no law in this sport that I love. And you got a guy like Teofimo Lopez, 25 years old, at the top of peak of his career. He sees it, knows that they try to rob him, and he's going to walk away. Now, I don't know if he retires completely. I think money talks, bullshit walks. And the right amount of money brings a guy like him back, especially now. His name is going to be out there more. He's going to be, people want to see him fight. He's still under contract for 8 months with Top Rank. Does he fight this year? I don't know. And does the contract carry past this year? If he doesn't fight again this year, does he still owe them a fight? I don't know. So I can't really get into the details of his contract, what's left with Top Rank, but I know he's saying that I'm done. He's retiring. I think the right money brings him back, but I think what he says in a video that I think was with a company called Fight Hype that I saw him do an interview with. He was basically stating that he's just not fighting his opponent, man. He's fighting the judge, he's fighting the ref, he's fighting promoters, he's fighting announcers. You know what I mean? It's just not him in the ring. You got so many other aspects that you got to fight and that you got to watch out for. That, okay, are the judges going to be on my side? He absolutely dominated the fight against Taylor, so there's no question that he left no answers on the table on who won that fight. I don't care who you could be a casual who have never watched the sport before ever, and you would have been like, man, that guy right there, he won the fight. That guy clearly won the fight. And you'd be like, who? Lopez, yes, clearly won that fight. But yet you have this kind of crap in the sport. And he's smarter than what people give him credit for, man. People think he's crazy because he speaks what he says, and that's how a lot of people in this world are taken now. If you speak your mind, you speak your opinion, and you really truly say what you think, you are looked down on. People don't like that. It scares people. You know what I mean? Oh, man, I don't want to be around him when he says something off the wall. You know, and Lopez isn't afraid to say it, and he doesn't care what you think about what he says. That makes me like him even more because I respect a guy who can speak and back what he says. He doesn't back off what he says. He didn't back off his comments to Top Rank about black fighters and their catering, what he thought about them catering to black fighters. And he still won't back off that. And now he's pointing it out, and he's putting Top Rank on blast. He's putting the judging on blast, and he's letting people know, I don't want to fight in a sport where it's not an even playing field, man. That two guys going out there risking their life are going against each other, and that's how it should be, but they're not. Now they got to worry about the judging. Josh Taylor said it before the fight. I think he made it sure that there was not 3 American judges because he didn't want bias. He didn't want to take the chance of leaving it to the judges' hands and then they go for Lopez. That didn't need to be because they just kind of put a whooping on Taylor. But that's where the sport is at, that these guys are now worried about who's judging, who's going to be out there judging that fight, or who's the ref in that fight. And that is way too much controversy for a sport, in my opinion, to go mainstream. And the only way, in my opinion, you really fix that is you got to have what Teddy Atlas is talking about, a boxing reform where you now have a commission to overlook and hold people responsible for what they do in this sport. In an all honest opinion, I think fighters should also have a union, just like any other sport, football, basketball, baseball. These guys have a players union. You should have a fighters union, man. You should be joining together, making sure that you're all getting paid the proper money because you're the ones going in the ring. It's not your manager, it's not your promoter. It is you guys going in the ring risking your life, man, so you should definitely make sure you're taken care of first, and then your manager and promoter can get their little money in after you get paid first, and that's how it should be. Josh Taylor, I think Lopez talked about, he didn't get paid shit for this fight, you know, and I don't know what the payday was for him or anything like that, but I heard Taylor got paid more than him, and I don't know, coming in, was Taylor the A side? I don't know. Taylor was coming off a controversial fight against Catterall, Jack Catterall. So I don't really want to say he was the A side to the fight. Lopez was coming off 2 straight wins. He had just fought previously the same year 2 times when Taylor had been off for almost two years. Only fought once in 2 years. So was he really the A side to that fight? I mean, Lopez could argue no, he wasn't. That Lopez was the A side and should have been paid properly. Should have been the higher paid fighter in that fight. But Top Rank had an agenda. They wanted Taylor to win. I know everything with them and Lopez is kind of going south. They know that because Lopez is just a kid that's not going to take your bullshit. He's going to call you out on it. And I love that, man. That's more fighters need to smarten up. Like I said, not only do we need to jump on board with the Teddy Atlas boxing reform, especially in the U.S., because I don't think there's nothing we can do abroad around the world. We can't force that. But if we lead by example here in the U.S. on making a fighting commission holding these guys, then maybe that also happens across the pond, which I know they have a commission over there in Britain and everything like that. But, a world commission for boxing, because it's a world sport. It's just not a U.S. sport. It's just not here in the U.S. It's everywhere. It's like soccer, man. It's everywhere. It's a world sport. So I think unionizing or a one world commission for boxing, even if it's split up two commissions for because it's all over the world, it's hard to do that, but you guys get what I'm saying, man. It has to get better, and things have to change. Teddy Atlas said he had 200,000 viewers view his first day where he talked about the petition for fight reform. 9,000 people signed a petition. I was one of them. I went and signed a petition, and he said 9,000 people, but 200,000 viewers, 9,000 people signed it. So that shows how many people are afraid, or, maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't care. Maybe boxing isn't what they're, what they care about. But as a boxing fan, I care about it enough to say, yeah, I'm going to sign that petition and do whatever else it needs to be done. Talk about it as much as I can on my show, my channel, to try to get it out there and get it into people's head and kind of drill it in there to where you're just like, shut up, all right, I'll sign it. If that's what it takes, yeah, that's what I'll do, man. Just jam it down your freaking throat until it gets through to people that we have to have a change in this sport so that it can move to the next level. Because, what else is there for boxing if it can't move forward? It's going to be stuck in the Stone Age, man, and it has to move with the other sports. I 100% hope that Teddy Atlas can get more people involved in this reform thing and maybe go to a guy like Lopez who sees it and talk to him about leading the way and getting fighters and fans to get together on something like this to say, hey, we got to make a change on this, and it's got to be quick and soon. And like I also said, fighters, man, start using your head, man. It's 2023. I know you guys are smarter than what people give you guys credit for. People always talk down about fighters like they're stupid. This is a generation of really a lot of smart people because of the internet, because of technology, man. Everybody has accessibility to educating themselves, becoming smart, to learning things, and I believe our fighters today are a lot more smarter than what they were 20, 25, 30 years ago. And I think these guys are smart enough to where they can change the sport by themselves by unionizing, getting together, saying, look, we as fighters have to look out for each other, man. It can't be every man for themselves, the wild, wild west. And nobody cares about the next guy or the guys coming up or what they leave the sport. If the sport crumbles tomorrow, the guys who already made their money don't care. And that's boxing, man. More guys need to care that are in the sport. I know you want to get paid, man. I get that, man. You put your life on the line and you want to get that money, and you're going out there, and it's kind of a me thing in boxing. But altogether, man, it's a we thing, man. It's a sport. And to where you have more than one person, man. And I'm sure these guys know they share stables with guys. They share the gym. They cross paths with all these other fighters. They talk to them. I'm sure they communicate. They talk about things, their promotion, their managers and stuff like that. So get together, man, and not only you guys unionizing and not only a fight reform, boxing reform happening would also make the sport to where these big fights that we're seeing right now that are happening week in, week out, month after month after month, big fight this year would continue to happen because the sport will be ran right. And you will have and then you won't be so afraid of what the judges. You'll know a little bit more. Judges being held accountable. Not just a judge from Aunt Martha's kitchen. An actual judge who's been trained to judge fights, to know what they are looking for, and things like that. So, look, that's just what I kind of want to hit on today. That was the only topic I've really been thinking about since I watched that Lopez video, kind of getting to why he really did retire, if it's just more of a stunt. And then the more I listen to it, it's not a stunt, man. It's a guy that's realizing that he's fighting an entire sport and just not one guy. He's fighting more than one person. And it's just not the ring, it's outside of the ring when it comes to boxing. And he talks about how he wants to help the younger generation. So hopefully, I definitely want to see him get back in the ring. Lopez, you're a hell of a talent, man. Don't leave at the age of 25. Don't let this sport run you out. Just be the one that changes it, man. Floyd changed it by buying out his contract, right? Change it by reforming the sport, man, and making sure that people don't get robbed, that the fighters who deserve them win the fight, and the robbery stops, corruption in boxing stops, and these guys are held accountable, man. So we definitely want to see you back in the ring, because there's way too many big fights for you out there that I would love to see personally. But I also understand your own personal fight right now, in and out of the ring, and you got to do what you have to do that's best for you. And I respect the decision that you're making as a man. And I hope to see you lead the way in reforming this sport. And that's all I had to say today, guys. Honestly, man, thank you guys for tuning in. Anybody who is listening, but please go over to the Teddy Atlas. I think it's called The Fight with Teddy. And sign that petition. I think it's on his page, on his channel somewhere on there, and sign that petition, man. Let's get this sport clean. Let's get it right. Not just, not just for us fans, but for the fighters in there risking their life. And if you really love this sport, the way I know I love this sport, and I want to see it go in the right direction, and I want to see these guys come out healthy and benefit in the way that they should, and not be robbed, man. And this sport needs cleaned up. And guys, go sign that petition. That's all I can say. And thanks for tuning in. Once again, this is a Sweet Science 365, and I'm your host, Jeff Foltz. And thank you guys, man. Have a great day.